Is your reptilian brain running the show? Hi, I am Brita Long, and I am the creator and author of The Happier Attorney. And this is the channel where we talk about flat fees and about mindset for attorneys and how you can practice law and have a great life and be just a little bit happier. So today we're going to be talking about anxiety, okay? And wow, what attorney doesn't have anxiety? And most of us probably could be diagnosed with a general anxiety disorder. If we didn't have anxiety before we practice, we certainly have it now. And we attorneys like to think that we're logical. And yet we suffer from anxiety so much. And generally, when we have out of control anxiety, that is when the most primitive part of our brain, the reptilian part of our brain, is in 100% control. And the thing is that we're not actually in a life or death emergency. And so when you're not in an actual emergency and yet your body and your brain think you are, that doesn't add up to good things, okay? So most of us, again, I think, my opinion, is that attorneys really do suffer from anxiety. And that makes sense given the stakes of our job, what we do, and also the legal culture that, it's our job to point out what horrible things could happen to our clients. It's our job to see all of the tigers behind the bushes, whether they're there or not. And while that may work when we were practicing law, it doesn't work for our actual life. So when we're talking about this, I'm not talking about an actual life or death emergency here, okay? But I remember that when I did not have my anxiety under control, all it would take is a potential client like not showing up for an appointment or canceling an appointment. And within 0.0001 seconds in my head, I went from, oh my gosh, that person canceled. Nobody's going to hire me again. I'm going to go bankrupt. I'm going to lose my law license. I'm going to lose my house. I'm going to be homeless and die alone in a ditch. Like that, right? Like it just, boom, I went to the worst case scenario immediately, right? And we do that all of the time. And the problem is that when we have our anxiety, let's say there's a scale of 1 to 10, and 1 being you're not anxious at all, and 10 being, oh my gosh, you are in full panic attack mode. When you get to a 7.5, 8, whatever, it depends on the person. Don't overthink it. But when you get there on the anxiety meter and it's not an actual emergency, that's a really bad thing because you are actually incapable of making decisions. Our brain literally shuts down. The oxygen stops going to our brain because think of it from an evolutionary standpoint. This is a good thing. If you're in an actual life and death emergency, you can't think. If you think, you're going to be dead, okay? And so our body takes over. And that's when, you're biking on a trail in the Pacific Northwest and there's a bear, your body takes over and you freeze, you run, or you fight. And you're not thinking, okay, what's the best thing to do here? Your body just takes over and goes, or fights, or freezes, right? And that's by design. And the problem is that when you're not in that actual life or death situation, but your body and brain thinks you are, then you're not thinking. And we need you to think. You need you to think. You need that in oxygen going to your brain. So I'm not a mental health professional. I do have a general anxiety disorder and severe ADHD. And I have been treated for well over a decade. And here's what I've learned and what I do. Okay, so take this, not take it, whatever. But the first thing that I try and do is be honest with myself. It's no honor to act like you don't have anxiety issues if you do. Okay, you're not crazy if you have anxiety or ADHD, but you need to get help. You need to know what your triggers are. If you need to be on meds, be on meds. Get your ego out of the equation. This isn't a judgment on you as a person, or whether you should be able to, fight your way through this, or I'm stronger than this. Get your ego out of it. Okay? If you have an issue, deal with the issue. Number 2, take 100% responsibility. It doesn't matter how we got here. It doesn't matter if you were in a traumatic situation that was due to somebody else and that caused anxiety or trauma. Most of us who have big anxiety or ADHD have had some sort of childhood trauma or adult trauma. And that wasn't your fault, generally. Sometimes we create our own drama and trauma, but it is your responsibility to deal with it and to fix the problem if you have a problem, or to just be able to live with it. So it doesn't matter who caused it. If it's yours now, you need to deal with it and take 100% responsibility for it. And that leads to number 3, know yourself. Know what helps and know what hurts or irritates the situation. Know what situations are going to jack up your anxiety, and either avoid them and prevent those situations, or know what you need to do going in to kind of buffer that, to be really honest about is sometimes we create our own problems and we make things much harder than they should be or need to be. It's being really honest with yourself. Why do you keep getting in these situations? Why do you keep getting in situations where essentially you have no choice but your anxiety to go through the roof? Okay. And then maybe not put yourself in those situations. And again, just really know yourself and get your ego out of it. Okay. I personally, I don't do well with crowds. It took me a long time to really be honest with myself about that, because I like people. There's a little bit of fear of missing out, and I can't do crowds. I just can't do it. My anxiety goes through the roof. So you know what? I don't do crowds anymore, unless I absolutely have to. And then I go in with okay, you might be freaking out here a little bit. Do what you need to do. Get through it, okay? Also, I try and put in guardrails to help steer clear of these situations that trigger the anxiety. And again, get my ego out of it. So whether that be small things or big life issues, my mental health has to be my top priority, as I would suggest yours. And because when I'm at a 7.5, 8, 9, everything shuts down. Anxiety is running the show, and I am not making good decisions. I'm not. And so with myself, when I come down from those high numbers and I'm honest with myself, that's when things run smoothly. And one of the large decisions I had to make and be honest with myself was that family law, I had practiced it for, 15 years or so. It wasn't good for my mental health. It was really bad for my mental health. And it was a really big deal to switch practice areas. But I got to the point where I had to do it because it was really, really affecting my mental health, and I had to get honest about that. And I had to do what I needed to do for my head. And I was scared, all of the things came through my head, but it was fine. I kept paying the bills and I switched practice areas, and it was one with far less anxiety. And, sometimes I miss some of the excitement, but I am far more stable now and just not have the highs. And you know what? Some people can do family law without anxiety. That's great. I couldn't. Again, get your ego out of the picture. Some of my other guardrails that I really, really try and guard jealously is I have to have sleep. Sleep is critical, period. Drinking enough water. I know this sounds simplistic, but it's true. It's totally true. Not drinking too much alcohol. Watching my sugar intake. I see an absolute difference in my anxiety when I have a lot of sugar versus when I don't. Movement. Nothing helps me kind of keep it a steady movement, walking. It doesn't you don't have to go to the gym and hire a personal trainer and all that. Taking a walk, okay? Just physical movement gets the oxygen going again. Fresh air. Looking at my bank accounts. Some of us with ADHD have had financial issues. It's scary. Even though you know what's in the bank account, I look at my bank accounts every single day, period. It just keeps me calm. Following a work schedule so that cash flow is continuous, having emergency savings, having dividing income automatically into taxes and savings and retirement. I pause before I purchase things. That has helped impulse control with ADHD plus anxiety. Okay. So just calming down a little bit. Some of the other things, it might sound silly, but I no longer stay at families' homes on vacation or for family events. That wasn't good for my anxiety. So now I stay at hotels, even though it's a little bit more expensive. The little things, again, know yourself, and it's okay to do what you need to do, even if it might be a little awkward. Getting rid of the narcissist in my life. Difficult to do, great for my anxiety reducing. Now, with that said, even though you've put in some guardrails and you're doing the things, life happens. This is a stressful profession, and we are in an incredibly stressful time in our world history. So there are times when you've done your best, you have your guardrails, and life just happens. And we find ourselves in a situation where our anxiety spikes. So again, assuming this isn't an actual life or death situation, here's what I do to bring me down from a 9 to, a manageable 6 where I can think. Number 1, breathe. Literally breathe. Again, the fight, flight, or freeze, the blood and oxygen stops going to our brain. It's going to our legs so we can run, we can do whatever we need to do. And we stop breathing, which is not great for decision making. So literally stop. You don't need to make a decision this second. Even in let's say in a trial situation, okay? Where you can't just go and I'm going to take a walk, okay? You can take 5 seconds and breathe. Okay? I have hundreds of jury trials under my belt. There is not a situation in a courtroom or anywhere else where you couldn't just take 5 seconds and breathe. And you will be amazed at what that does. It just allows you to be able to think and take that next step. If you can, move. Literally. Take a walk. Get some fresh air. Even 5 to 10 minutes will do wonders to just bring you down and clear your head a little bit so that you can think, and how do I get out of this now? Okay? Ask yourself, are you okay? And almost always the answer is going to be yes. It might not feel like it, but the answer is going to be yes. Do you have the tools to navigate this situation? I'm going to tell you, I bet almost any amount of money that you do. It might not feel like you do, but you do. And again, you have to get yourself down the numbers to be able to access the information that you already have. But yes, you do have what you need to navigate this situation, okay? But the only way to do that is to remain calm and to get down from a 7, 8, 9 so that you can think. If you panic, you will drown, okay? If you panic, you're done for. And know that you have everything you need right now to get yourself out of whatever situation if you keep calm, okay? And you don't need to worry about the future because it's not the future right now. Now, I'm not talking about, don't prepare for the future. I'm talking about when you are in a full-fledged, oh my God, anxiety attack, come back to now. Are you okay right now? Yes. You don't need to worry about what's going to happen next week. It's not next week. Okay? Right, let's just get through right now. And then when you're calm, you can prepare for next week. Okay? Do you have the resources to solve the problem? Yes. You could not be where you are in life. You would not be an attorney if you did not have the power and the experience to problem solve. You have solved umpteen dozen, hundreds, thousands of problems in your past. You have that track record. You can solve this. So yes, you do have the resources. Again, it might not feel like it. They might not be easy resources, but yes, you can get through this, okay? And then when you kind of calm down a little bit, one of the things that I try and do looking back, sometimes the next day, sometimes the next week, is think and ask, how can this situation be a good thing? What could I learn from that situation that will make my life better in the future? Okay. I'm not talking about shaming yourself. I'm not talking about sitting there going, oh, I can't believe you put yourself in that situation and you're so dumb and you're so irresponsible. No. We don't do that. We're not shaming ourselves. But really, what did you learn from that situation? What can you do in the future to make a situation like that better or prevent it in the future? Okay. And then congratulate yourself for solving the problem. You did it. Again, you did it. All right. And these little mind tricks help tremendously. One of my biggest anxieties was just a few months ago. The facts don't really matter, but I found myself literally on the side of a small road in Italy with all my luggage, hungry, dehydrated, with the phone on my battery, running out fast, not knowing where I was or how to get to where I was supposed to go. My anxiety, okay, which didn't help that I was dehydrated and hungry, okay? And at first I was, like, it was scary. It was scary. And then I kicked in and I breathed and I just, okay, what are your resources? Are you going to be okay? Yeah, of course. Am I going to find someplace to sleep tonight? Of course. And then I was able to problem solve. And within 2 hours, it was fine. It was totally fine. But until I came down, then I couldn't problem solve. Then I was just deer in the headlights. Oh my gosh, I'm stuck on the middle of the road and this is dangerous and I don't know where I am. I don't know how to get there. It was bad. But when I came down, then I problem solved and it, of course, turned out fine. And I learned some valuable lessons from it. So I hope that this gives you some hints on how you can keep your anxiety from spiking. And if you found this video helpful at all, then I would ask you to subscribe, like, comment, so that other attorneys can find this information, because we really can, one by one, make a difference in this profession. And if you would like more information on me or working with me, just click below at breedalong.com. So have a great day and take care.